He is a health technology and product consultant and a popular lecturer on the subject of anti-aging and phototherapy. Welcome, Mellen.
Hi, David, and thank you very much. Hi, everyone out there. Today we're going to be talking about two of my most favorite subjects in the world, quantum biology and phototherapy. I'll begin with a brief history of quantum biology and help you get your mind wrapped around that. And then I'll do a brief history of phototherapy, which I think you'll find very entertaining. And then I will give you a brief review of some of the inventions and projects that I have been involved in as designer and inventor. And then we'll be talking about one of my favorite inventions I've ever come up with today, and that is the Dreamspa. So let's get started. You know, the human body, and in fact all bodies and all things, animate or inanimate, are made of atoms first and foremost. In the field of quantum biology, we think of your biology as atoms, and at the atomic state, you are literally a nuclear being. You're made of atoms first and foremost before you're ever made of flesh and blood. And what's fascinating about that, and it can be sort of mystical if you want to be a philosopher, is that no two atoms touch each other. And so how does living things in your human body maintain its integrity and exchange energy and keep this nuclear state alive at a nuclear level, let alone a cellular level? Well, there's been some great advances since the 1990s, and here you see on the screen is actual photographs of nuclear fields of atoms. And from the 1990s to the present, the technology has been getting so advanced that at the picture at the bottom, with the color in it, you see actually a lattice of gold atoms. So technology has come so far, especially since the 1990s, further than all the history of mankind put together. We're actually living in what's called the golden age of science and astronomy at this time. So if we're made of a nuclear state, and this is what we look like at the nuclear level, then how does this state absorb energy? How does it communicate with itself? How does it actually stay alive? Well, we are made of atoms, and we emit energy. Anything that has atoms in it emit electromagnetic fields and emit energy at different wavelengths. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a Kirlian photograph. This is someone's fingertip. And a Kirlian camera is really just an electron camera. All it does is photograph electron emissions from anything that has an electron emission, which is everything that has atoms in it, by the way. But this happens to be a human finger. And you've seen night vision scopes, and have you ever thought that from the moment that you're conceived to several days after you die, you are a glowing light bulb 24/7? Your energy is being expended in several different wavelengths of energy, and mostly in light. You glow in the dark, as you can see with a night vision scope. Here you see the Kirlian of a leaf. And every living thing has electron emissions. Every living thing is alive that way at the nuclear level. It's a fascinating form of biology to think about. And the field of quantum biology is expanding so rapidly. It's very easy to check up on it on the internet, become part of blogs, and there's all kinds of really heavy scientists involved in this now, and bloggers. And in fact, a few odd characters like the guy at the bottom there, me. I did a lecture for the Learning Annex on quantum biology not too long ago. So what I'd like to do now is share with you a brief history of phototherapy, which I think you'll find very interesting, or energy medicine, I should say, which involves phototherapy. It seems as soon as the electricity was discovered and controlled in the 1700s that people started trying to do medicine with energy. And in the early days, with the kind of equipment they had, it was very crude equipment. You could actually get shocked to death with some of these energy treatments. So energy medicine in the 1700s could be quite shocking. Here's something interesting that many of you may not know. Remember Dr. Kellogg? He invented Kellogg cornflakes and all that, but if you check his history, he was a giant of health and health consciousness in his day, and his influence is still felt with us in the modern world of the 21st century. Dr. Kellogg was also an inventor and an innovator, and the white suit that you see him in is a very special clothes that he wore, which would let in full spectrum light. He was very much into light and very much into all types of inventions that would help with health. What you see in the bottom picture on the right is one of his shaker machines. And how many of you have seen those modern, very expensive shaker machines today where you stand on and they shake you? Well, that actually goes back to the 1900s, actually. And this is interesting. Dr. Kellogg was very much into light and came up with a number of light inventions. The one you're looking at is called the light bath. And what it was is you were put on a bed and you were rolled into this cabinet that was full of these bright lights, and it was claimed to have regenerated people and healed many diseases. Now, what you might not know is that on the Titanic, there was a Dr. Kellogg health spa, and included in that was one of his light bath machines was on the Titanic, which now sits at the bottom of the ocean. The Kellogg Museum is quite an interesting place to go to. As you can see in the photograph at the right, they have a complete working model of one of his light baths and other inventions. This again is from the Dr. Kellogg Museum, and you can see his white suit, which he believed let more light energy into his body, and some other light inventions, including the one in the background is a sit-down light bath, which you would sit in and everything but your head would be enveloped in special lights. The photograph at the right corner is, again, one of his electric devices where you sat in this chair and you held on to the grips and it shook you and gave you a charge. Very interesting. These type of concepts are still around today, actually. And then Hollywood got into it. It seems like as long as there's been the idea of electricity, people have thought electricity has created life. And in fact, in modern science today, in evolution, it's thought that electricity had a tremendous amount to do with the first living cells on Earth. But Hollywood had its own style of creating life. Another thing that you might find fascinating is that Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla were dear friends for many, many years. And Mark Twain loved to hang out with Nikola Tesla, and he credits one of Tesla's energy devices, which he would hold on to and give him electrical charge, as why he was so healthy so long in his life, because he never exercised and he smoked cigars and all of that. But this is a fascinating story, the story of Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla's relationship. In fact, in the upper photograph, where Mark Twain is holding the light bulb of Tesla's, you can see Tesla in the background, actually, watching them. There have been many developments in the field of phototherapy and energy medicine. This is one of the early devices called a plasma tube device. And these are still around today, actually. Basically, what a plasma tube device was early form of neon lighting. And in these glass tubes, as you see on the top of this device, they would put special gases in that would glow at specific wavelengths of light. In those days, everyone thought ultraviolet light was the master light of all, and so there were many violet ray plasma tube devices invented, and they're still around today. In fact, Edgar Cayce invented his own that was quite popular, and that's still available, actually. And this is just an example of a plasma tube device that is still available today. You can buy this on the internet today. And it claims all the things they were claiming back in the 1800s and in the 1900s. Well, one of the first great modern visionaries and inventors in the true science of phototherapy was a man named Darius Denshaw. Although he was born and raised in India and fought World War I and all that, he and his family moved to New Jersey, and his family is still in New Jersey to this day. Denshaw invented the spectrochrome, which was really in history the first serious, scientific, very well-made light device. He spent a lot of time and energy developing these glass slides that would fit into this device, which had a carbon arc light inside of it, a very bright form of light. And they would shine these lights on you, and he was accredited with many healings. He was quite a pioneer in the field of healing with light. The way they would treat you in those days, for the most part, is they would shine the light into your eyes, because people believed, and the belief is still around today, that the eyes are connected directly to the autonomic nervous system, autonomic muscle system, and this is the way many light devices up till the recent discoveries in the 1990s were developed. I'll give you an example of that. These are some of the devices that were the offspring of various Dinshaw devices. You see the photon wave device up in the upper left-hand corner, sold in the 70s, and basically you sat in front of it and you had these glass filters that would shine specific wavelengths of light into your eyes. In the upper right-hand corner is a modern device that's available today for the same purpose. Same thing with this Swiss device in the lower corner. And in the lower right-hand corner, you can see a device you can buy today. It's a visor with these little lights in it that shine directly into your eyes. So this idea is still around to this day. Now, since the late 90s, the late 80s and the early 90s, phototherapy has really taken off and has expanded in the U.S. very well. Phototherapy itself began, as we know it, scientific, modern phototherapy began around 60 years ago in Europe with veterinarians and quickly expanded to humans over there. It did take a bit longer for it to be accepted in the United States. These are some current modern devices for use in hospitals and clinics and med spas. You can see how serious they look. These are modern devices. These are current devices on the market. The one in the right hand is a device made by a company in Palo Alto, California, made for specifically for treating babies in India. Tremendous problem with jaundice babies in India. In fact, if you look closely at the slide, you'll see the mother sleeping right next to the babies, being radiated with this blue light. And by the way, I'll be talking about it later, it's the same blue light that's in the Dreamspa. In the upper left-hand picture, you see a baby with a very current device of blue light being put on a jaundice baby to help the baby get over jaundice. In the old days, they used to take the babies out into the sunlight for a certain period of the day till the jaundice went away, and then after that, Billy Rubin light cabinets were invented, which were bright light devices that got rid of the Billy Rubin, because Billy Rubin is the problem with jaundice babies. So these devices are very current. They're being used right now in hospitals and clinics and in countries where they have problems with this type of infant condition. This is a current device that's out on the market. It's supposed to melt the fat off of you with light. I've seen the device personally, and I think it's a very sexy, very, very cool-looking system. I have my doubts, scientifically, that it's really going to burn the fat off of you, but it is being used in med spas. But certainly, it's a very attractive piece of equipment. Here's some devices that are out on the market today. Since phototherapy has been so popular for the last 6-7 years, there have been a lot of cheap little handheld devices put out there. These are basically toys, phototherapy toys. And as you see in the left photo, this is a little helmet you wear that's supposed to regenerate your hair, and it certainly has a scientific basis. It runs for about $700 out there on the marketplace. But you put it on your head and listen to some music, and hopefully it'll stop hair fallout, which research has shown these type of things will work for that. But we'll show you what we've done with the Dreamspa later. This may look like a funny device to you, but it is actually a very serious device out on the market currently. It's battery operated, and it has 2 probes that you stick up your nose. And this is for people that really suffer from sinus headaches and allergies that medications don't seem to help. I remember in the early days of my research back in the mid-'80s, before any of this was invented, some of the researchers I met along the way, I kept noticing that some of them would take one of those laser pointers, the laser pointers for slideshows, and they would literally stick them up their nose for a few minutes. And I asked why, and I was told, well, it's the same wavelength in a little handheld laser pointer that's in the $1,500, $2,000 medical laser. And so finally someone has come out with a product so you can stick light up your nose. And it is quite effective, actually. Now we'll talk about one of the great modern 20th century pioneers of light, Dr. John Ott. John Ott is a legend in the field. His pioneering work really turned the world around in the 1960s and 70s. He was a lighting engineer for a very large company. We're talking one of the major corporations of America that make lights. And he did some research in laboratories with lab animals using fluorescent lighting and incandescent lighting that was still very popular. And he found that using fluorescent lights and incandescent lighting was actually cutting the lifespan of the lab animals in half and impacting the immune system. And so he felt this must have the same effect on human beings. And so he reported this to the board of directors at this huge corporation, and they promptly fired him and blacklisted him. But lucky for us and lucky for him, he came from a very, very wealthy Chicago family. So Dr. Ott was able to continue on his work without anybody getting in his way the rest of his life. I was lucky enough to have met Dr. Ott late in his life, and he's one of my heroes. One of the things that you might not know about Dr. Ott is that he is the inventor of what we call full spectrum lighting, lighting that's healthy for you. As you see in the photograph behind his portrait photo, he invented time-lapse photography to study light. Many of you may know what time-lapse photography is. That's when you slow down a motion picture camera to record hours of time and watch it in minutes. And he invented this type of photography, among other many inventions, to study light itself. And he had a fantastic lab that he set up to study light. And there is a film he did make. He made one film in his life about his work, and it is available on the internet. The other thing you might not know about Dr. Ott is he was a friend of Walt Disney. And he actually won an Academy Award for a short film with Walt Disney. And if you're as old as I am, you may have actually seen this in theaters. It was shown in theaters. And it was when it was a film in which plants were blooming and dancing to classical music. It was quite a sensation in its day. And he did get the Academy Award for that. So we have a lot to thank Dr. Ott for getting everybody in the right direction. One of the next main people in the field of phototherapy is Fritz Popp, who discovered, and one of the great discoverers of what we call biophotons today. And biophotons are what is we're getting back to quantum biology now, because if we're made of atoms, how do all of these atoms communicate? How do cells communicate? How do molecules communicate? And Fritz Popp was one of the first, among others, to really pioneer in this field and come up with devices that could literally measure biophotons. Now, what are biophotons? Because nowadays, as you see this magazine cover, nowadays it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in the world. Biophotonics covers everything from the measurement of anything with light and special measuring devices, all the way to medical lasers and procedures, all the way to what we call phototherapy today. And what are biophotons? Well, biophotons are the light emissions of living organisms, which is a part of any electromagnetic radiation that organic cells emit. All living cells, plants, animals, and human beings emit biophotons, which cannot be seen by your naked eye, but can be measured by special instruments. The light emission is an expression, the biophotonic light emission is an expression of the functional state of the living organism. That means its health, its well-being. And the measurement of the biophotonics of these living organisms can be used to assess the state of sick or healthy cells by the same type, by the differences in the way the biophotonic emissions look. In other words, sick cells emit a different color light, a different wavelength of biophotons than healthy cells. Isn't that interesting? Now, biophoton light is stored in the cells of every organism. More precisely, in the DNA molecules of their nuclei. Imagine that. We're back to quantum biology, aren't we? And when this light is stored in the molecules of DNA in their nuclei, it creates a dynamic web of light constantly released and absorbed by the DNA, which connects all cell organisms, cells, tissues, organisms within the body, and serve as the organism's main communication network and as the principal regulating agent of all life processes on Earth. Isn't that amazing? What a great discovery. The next great researcher that came into the field, which is one of my heroes to this day, is Dr. Harry Whelan, who has done a lot of work at Milwaukee Children's Hospital. You can look him up on the internet very easily and look at his videos. He also has done a lot of work with DARPA, which is the Defense Research Agency, and with NASA's space program. And it was Dr. Whelan's work with DARPA and NASA that really brought in the final piece of credibility for phototherapy, really nailing it and proving it's more real than most people imagine. Now, what's interesting is, why does NASA get involved in phototherapy? Well, it's been known that the longer you stay in space, the more your body chemistry changes. In fact, astronauts lose tremendous amount of bone mass in space the longer they stay. So if you're in outer space, your body starts to adapt rapidly. In outer space, you don't need legs, you don't need hardly any bones at all, and the longer you stay in space, the more your body tries to adapt to that. So when the astronauts come back from these extended stays in outer space, they have to be carried. They're not allowed to walk. They have to be rehabilitated. And they have to literally be carried off the field where they come back, where they land. And so this brings into the question of how, when we want to explore Mars and things like that, if we don't come up with artificial gravity, it would probably be completely debilitating to the astronauts by the time they got back to the Earth. But this is an important part of phototherapy, and they're using it in the space station because, in outer space, there's not a lot of healing goes on, cuts and bruises, but phototherapy drives the biology into repairing itself. Fascinating, isn't it? You can check this out on NASA websites. Now, I'd like to give you a brief review of just some of the projects I've been involved in the phototherapy energy arena. I've been quite an eclectic inventor since the 80s, and I've invented just everything from tools to shoes to furniture to toys, and my favorite inventions, of course, have been anything that helps with anti-aging, healing, and the quality of life. So I'm going to show you a few of those. This is a project I worked on in the early 90s, and I got the project funded. I concepted the project based on all the theories out there about, can you communicate with DNA? And, didn't we just talk about Dr. Pop's experiments with DNA and communication? So this project was put together. It was very exciting. I had Cleve Baxter, an old friend of mine, the man who discovered plants have feelings. I've had him in most of my projects. Glenn Ryan, famous quantum biologist, was part of the project. Some people formerly of Hughes Corporation, and some people from HeartMath Institute. Some of you know about HeartMath. Basically, what you're looking at, I took all these pictures because I kind of knew what was going to happen. I really kind of understood that this experiment would be successful. So you're looking at the lower right-hand corner is a sensor that we made out of human DNA, because human DNA is literally a liquid crystal, and then when it's dehydrated, it can be reconstituted in a saline solution. This sensor was then hooked up to very sensitive devices, and as you see in the top photo, in the center, this was the first blip ever in our experiment of being able to control DNA. And I was waiting for the scientists to discover it. So in the lower center picture, you see the scientists jumping for joy that we had made this discovery. It was quite exciting time, very heady. One of the men that have had the most influence on me, though, in all of my career is Stephen Jock of the University of Oregon Medical School. I have studied with Stephen for many years. I take courses with him as often as I can. And he is considered, if not the top, one of the top tissue optics experts in the world. And the field of tissue optics is a relatively new field. It's about as new as phototherapy itself. Tissue optics is looking at how light and sound affect all the tissues of the human body. And most people might not realize or think about it, but sound is a form of the electromagnetic spectrum and a form of light. That's why sonograms, and there's many ways to image things with sound. It's called acoustic optics. Tissue optics includes both sound and light, and to me, studying with Stephen Jacques in tissue optics brought to me what I call the moment of the Rosetta Stone for me. I consider this my Rosetta Stone time, and understanding tissue optics at this deep fundamental level allowed me to design and create quite effective phototherapy systems ever since. Early on, and this is in the, I would say early 90s here, I was working and had some experience with Bill Tiller of Stanford University, the great skater scientist in his day. This is when he was still at Stanford. And I learned a lot from Bill Tiller about scalar fields and scalar waves, and I found that some of it was actually could be applied to phototherapy delivery systems. And so I did learn a lot from Dr. Tiller and his son Jeff, who I found to be brilliant. This was the first man to give me my first real job in research in phototherapy back in the late 80s. And Bud Leakey had a alternative research center in Canada, and he was also associated with the World Health Organization. And for me, going from invention into trying to put clinicals together to prove your inventions are for real was quite a large step, bigger than most people imagine. But he taught me, and the people at World Health taught me, that first thing you have to do in clinical work is study studies and test tests, because you can spend millions of dollars on testing, but actually in the end will mean nothing. It can be pulled apart like a house of cards. So study a study and test the test. These are some of the examples of inventions in the phototherapy field that I have been a part of recently. I can't put everything on the screen today, but I'm quite prolific and love inventing all types of phototherapy devices and attachments. This was one of my early devices in the early days when I was one of the first to concept and build flexible pads with LED arrays on them, going back to the mid-'80s actually. And this was one of the early systems. It was quite attractive. Quite attractive. The light splashed and all of that sort of thing. But this is some work I did with another company in which I developed appliances and control systems, ostensibly for post-surgical facial and dental work. And here we see some of the dental work. I've invented appliances that go inside your mouth, and one of the reasons I'm very, very into dental is that historically dental has been the number one problem of human and animals health-wise. So any investment, your first investment should be in your dental and your teeth, and it will keep you healthy longer than you imagine, and it will make you sicker faster than you can imagine, especially after the age of 50. Here's a device I developed for yet another corporation I'm very proud of. It was a high-end spa device, very well accepted all around the United States, and I designed, concepted, and developed the technology for this system, which I'm very, very proud of. And here is Mellen's playground. This is where I like to play. I like to hang out at the factories, I like to hang out with the engineers, and that's where I get a lot of joy. This is a device I invented for yet another corporation in the early 2000s. And this was a full body device that was used in research that came out very well. And we were experimenting in different types of full body devices. And I had hopes and still have hopes that this type of systems will be used in oncological support and post-surgical of patients. Here's some concepts for the future. These are systems I'd like to put out in the future. These are some concepts in full-body devices. And here's some concepts for different types of full-body devices and arrangements. And here's the next full-body device I'd like to get out in the next few years. I call it the Starlight Cocoon, and basically it's like having your own little private spaceship to travel the universe in. Now I'd like to introduce as I said before, my most favorite invention to this day, the Dreamspa. The Dreamspa represents everything that I have learned and all my experience in phototherapy to this day. I've always wanted to come out with a personal use unit that people could use at home as much as they like, whenever they like, with professional qualities and professional effectiveness. It's great to have all of these spa devices. That's fantastic. But for regular folks like you and me, how often can we afford to go to a spa when the best use of phototherapy is daily or a couple of times a day or more? And so I've always wanted to get out a personal use system that you could use at home and take with you. And so I'm very, very happy. And I want to show you what it's all about now. So why is the Dreamspa so important to the quality of your life? Well, there are several things that are very important. And the Dreamspa was designed for four main things. Most phototherapy equipment out there in the world today deal with pain alleviation or cosmetics. Now that's all fine and good, but there are some other things that are just and maybe even more important than that. Number one is stress, stress, stress. We are all stressed out. We're working more than our parents did. We're burning the candle at both ends, and technology has not actually helped us with that, has it? Computers have stolen our lives, and now they come up with new devices every day that keep us engaged in the technological melee out there, actually. Now, did you know, and why I have this picture up, did you know that there have been some very good studies that show that just driving to work every day, and millions of people do this every day in one way or another, driving to work, dropping off the kids at school, doing this and that, just driving to work is stressful enough to raise the cortisol level in your body to a high and significant effect. And the cortisol in this world is the stress hormone. It's what happens when you're stressed out, and all of us are carrying way too much cortisol in our body, and it affects our brain, it affects our cognitive abilities, it affects our health, and it affects, it's why so many people can't lose weight. You can't lose weight when you've got high cortisol. And so, now imagine this, that you drive to work and you've seriously impacted your immune system by just driving to work, and then that takes hours and hours for it to settle down again. That's if you're not eating candy and drinking coffee and all that at work. And then about the time it calms down, 4 to 5 to 6 is when you should be having a siesta. And I consider civilized countries are countries that have siesta periods. And I almost call this device the siesta machine. So imagine your cortisol is coming down, you're now ready to go home and face this traffic all the way back home again. And by the time you get home, typically your stress levels are going to be high enough to keep you awake most of the night. And then you start the whole process over the next day. So what can we do about stress? Well, there's a lot we can do about stress, and this is one of the first reasons I designed the Dreamspa. Secondly, there's an epidemic of sleeplessness. We aren't sleeping anymore for some of the very reasons I've just explained to you, and the technology keeps us awake, keeps us in beta brainwaves, and I'll explain that in a minute. So we're living at a time now when so many people are experimenting with sleeping pills that they know they really don't work, and they leave you even worse off in the morning, that people are looking for a non-invasive way without drugs to have sleep again. And this is the second reason that I wanted to incorporate all of this into the Dreamspa. How many of us have had these kind of days where stress and fatigue really affects us? Enlightened companies nowadays have sleep periods, sleep naps, and they give people nap passes. And so some of the enlightened corporations, they have recognized this, and if you let people rest and you let them have restful naps, then we're going to be much more productive, much more healthy, and not have so many sick days. And so we see the advent of that around the country. So what we wanted to do with the Dreamspa is give you a device that will give you these restful naps at deep brainwave levels anytime you needed them. Also, we wanted to put in a program that would provide a profound stress relief for you and energy renewal. Very, very important. So stress, energy, sleep, and then cosmetics. Now the Dreamspa solution, Dreamspa is the first really all-in-one photon energy system that combines photo rejuvenation, energy recharging to your body, and it provides profound stress relief. And we also have incorporated in 3 of the main programs something that I pioneered called Brainwave entrainment. The field of brainwave entrainment is decades and decades old with tons of research in it, and there are many kinds of brainwave devices out there. Well, we incorporated this into the Dreamspa. But I also did another thing with it. Not only is it brainwave entrainment, we also put in a trance program and mixed them. So I call it brainwave entrancement. We want to entrance your brain to rest. And so I'll explain how these brainwaves work, because this is one of the most important things to think about besides just shining light on people and all the effects it can give you, that we can do something even better with all of this. Did you know that when your eyes are open, you're in beta brainwaves, and the beta brainwaves are these stress brainwaves. Whenever your eyes are open, you're talking, you're learning, you're reading, you're taking care of the house, you're caretaking. You are in beta brainwaves, and we have become now what I call beta toys. We are literally spending too much time in beta brainwaves. I think this is what's caused the epidemic and tsunami of cortisol in the world, and literally affected brain function and the immune systems of so many millions of people. And students alike are just under as much stress as anyone else. Homemakers, caretakers, businessmen, airline pilots, doctors, where we just spend too much time in beta brainwaves. There's not enough me time anymore. Have you noticed that? And you really do deserve to have me time, time that's just for you to regenerate your mind, body, and spirit. We have 5 innovative programs in the Dreamspa. And the top 3 programs, which I'll show you in a minute, do have the brainwave entrancement in them, which I consider one of the most important developments in the field of combining phototherapy and brainwave. Now, I'll explain how this works. So, normally you spend too much time in beta brainwaves, and what we want to do with the Dreamspa is give you a 30-minute cycle that will give you the most restful nap, regenerate your mind, body, and spirit, let your brain rest and heal itself. So here's how it works. So normally you spend too much time in beta stress brainwaves where there's no rest of the brain, which is generally agreed upon to be 15 to 40 cycles per second of brainwave activity. What we want to do is the Dreamspa is divided into 3 sections of brainwaves with every phototherapy system you're getting. And so in the first 10 minutes of each of these auto programs, because they turn themselves off when they're finished, there's no overdosing or no chance of that. So we want to take your brainwaves down from 15 to 40 cycles to 10 alpha, which is where meditators like to go. We want to entrance your brain into deep relaxation and an overall sense of calming. It begins at 10 cycles alpha. Then in the second 10 minutes of the session, we want to entrance your brain into 8 cycles theta, which is the beginning of really deep and profound stress relief, and mental clarity is enhanced. And your brain begins to deeply rest. Because you've got to think about it, your brain is always working. You've got to give your brain a rest, not only your body, but you've got to give your brain a rest also. And so the third 10 minutes of the 30-minute cycle is what we call magic land in brainwave entrainment. That's 5 cycles theta. This is magic land. In the final 10 minutes, we entrance your brain waves into 5 theta, and at this frequency, research has shown that the brain will significantly refresh itself, reducing brain fog, and retraining the brain to sleep better at night. You know, at five cycles theta, research has shown that your brain will physiologically start rebooting itself, start healing itself, because your brain needs healing too. Isn't that amazing? There's some great research on this, and we include this in the Dreamspa program. Next, we want to talk about energy, because not only are we stressed out, not only are we tired from not sleeping, but also all of this helps us run out of energy. And it's almost like, you know, the human body is the most fantastic electric car ever made, but if the battery isn't charged, you're going to be pushing that car and you're going to be stressed out. So think about that. You can have the best equipment in the world, but if the battery isn't charged, it doesn't work very well, does it? And what's interesting about phototherapy is, and it's been known even since ancient times, but very scientifically in modern times, is that light creates energy. And in fact, it was Albert Einstein who got the Nobel Prize for discovering the photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect has changed the world. It's the reason we have solar panels today. It's affected so many facets of our life thanks to this discovery by Einstein. But in this, he also discovered that just as plants convert sunlight to energy, so do all living things in one way or another. So do human beings. We convert sunlight into energy, or technically we convert light into energy. But you've got to think about this for a second. Normal sunlight to a human being is really rude and crude energy. Most of it is absolutely harmful to your body, and thank God a lot of it's filtered out by our atmosphere. But in modern science, it's been discovered that there are really 4 main bioactive wavelengths in sunlight. So imagine that we've been able to take just the wavelengths of light that are beneficially bioactive to you and put them into a device that you can use anytime you want. The way it works in humans is that you take an energy in your body, light, water, and we live literally on ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy molecule that stores energy in every cell of your body. It's like having a battery inside your body. And every cell of your body has a mitochondrion, which literally, to an engineer, you look at the electron microscope view of it, it looks like a battery capacitor. It's like a capacitor. It stores energy. The mitochondrion is in every cell of your body and is the energy, the battery of every cell in your body. Your cell can't operate properly if this energy level is low in the battery. It's like a flashlight the batteries are going weak and you have to shake it to make, get a little bit of light going. So your body very well knows how to convert energy to ATP, energy molecules, basically protons, electrons, and these are carried in and stored in these little batteries in every cell. Well, thanks to Einstein, this is well understood now, and this is why phototherapy provides energy to the human body. It is the energy solution to the human body. Here's an interesting picture with Kirlian photography, which again I'll say Kirlian is an electron camera, and we use it as sort of a battery tester. But you can check the electrical content of your body in many ways, including blood, saliva, and urine. It's called the zeta effect. You can really measure the electrical potential of your body. When the electrical potential is low, you don't have a lot of energy for healing or cognitive functioning, and you get really moody. Have you kind of noticed that? So in the upper photograph, we have a normal person. This is not even a sick person. This is a normal person, and this is like checking their battery. This is their 3 fingertips on a Kirlian plate. And you can see there's gaps in the electron emission. It's very spiky, which means they're very low in energy. And 30 minutes later, after being in the Dreamspa and having light transmitted to you, your body shows that literally that your body has taken the light and turned it into electrical energy in your body. And when you have a surplus of electrical energy in your body, you heal well, you regenerate, and you really go into what's called true anti-aging. In other words, it's possible to keep you regenerating faster than you're degenerating now in the modern world. The first program is called Renew. It has an interesting and unique mixture of both near-infrared light and red light. So, if you see it closely, it looks like some of the lights, about half of them are out, but that's because near-infrared is not visible to the human eye. Near-infrared is probably the most important wavelength in phototherapy. It's the deepest penetrating and the most healing. And secondly would be red. That's why we mix these two in an interesting way for you. And so this setting would be the high energy setting, the high regeneration setting, the super healing setting. And if you're low in energy, you would probably want to use this setting. We have a couple of examples here. This is photographs I did about 6 years ago with a study that I did personally. And this was using red and near-infrared light. And you could see, even in 70-year-old women, we were getting some very good collagen production. Also, in the same study that I did, you can see that collagen production is improved greatly in just 2 sessions. And so you can see, like, the ladies almost had like an eye lift. What's fascinating, and I'll get into the blue cone in a second, what's fascinating is that everyone tends to regenerate in their own unique way. Some people regenerate so fast, it's amazing. We have them look in the mirror first at their face because there could be a big change right after the first session. Some people, it may take 10 or more sessions to really start getting the effect. But this is this system is a maintenance system. There's nothing ever going to fix you up in one shot forever. You need maintenance. You need to have your battery recharged daily, literally. So our second program is what we call blue calm. And blue, this blue wavelength is the most studied wavelength in phototherapy clinicals around the planet right now. And it's been known for several decades in Europe as being very beneficial, and now is accepted worldwide and is the wavelength of choice for depression, for resetting your biological clock, for jet lag, for billy-moving babies, for hangovers, for those of you that party, it's very good for that. And also it's been adapted by estheticians as the favorite wavelength. It's very good for skin, oily skin, bacterial skin, rosacea, and also very, very dark-skinned people tend to get photofacials with blue because their pigmentation really doesn't have the same effect with red light for facials as it does with blue light. And typically dark-skinned people have more of an issue with oily bacterial skin. So this is perfect. The system is perfect. You can address anybody of any skin color. Blue wave is really the wavelength that's going to lift your mood, give you a centered feeling and clarity, and also it has the Brainwave entrainment program layered in with it also. Third program, main program, again, this has Brainwave entrainment and entrancement in it also. We call it body relief. This is an interesting mix of near-infrared light, blue light, and red light, and we only use the 3 most tested, most tried and true wavelengths in phototherapy history. No one can patent these wavelengths because nature invented them. If someone tells you they patented a new wavelength of light, well, I don't think so. But really, it's all about delivery systems and how to mix this in an effective way. Body relief is very good for people that over-exercise, or golfers, or play tennis a lot, for baby boomers that are getting very active. And body relief is great for systemic pains like the arthritis and things like that. It's the baby boomers that are really making all the money for the sports medicine clinics all around the country. Baby boomers have more sports injuries than all the major pro teams put together. Golfing, tennis, and bike riding, and all that stuff that has an impact when you overdo it for the aging population. The fourth program. And the fourth and fifth program, by the way, do not have the brain wave entrancement because it isn't needed in these particular programs. But we've included hair and scalp, and the canopy actually goes to a different position to shine just on your head and scalp. And this is based on great research in the U.S. and in Europe, where it's been shown that these wavelengths, first and foremost, will stop hair fallout, and women are about 80% of the main market in hair trouble. Women lose hair all over the place, but the good news is women can grow hair back. Men, on the other hand, they really want to stop hair fallout and keep what they have. But more than that, and we have some links to this on the Light Health Research website is that more than that, these very wavelengths are being used in studies in Europe and in America because this is shining very special wavelengths on the meridians in your head, which are considered some of the most important meridians. And there has been great research on how this prevents certain conditions from developing and really does turn around certain conditions, which you can look up on the website and on the internet. Typically a hair unit, and you saw one in the beginning of this presentation, that was just for hair fallout. That's about $700. The systems they're using clinically in Europe can run $30,000 to $60,000 easily. I've seen a $100,000 hair unit, and they're using exactly the same wavelengths, and we've incorporated this into the Dreamspa. The fifth program we put in there because it was highly requested in the research that I did, and that is hair, nails, hand spots. Phototherapy actually is very good for the hands and increases nail growth, and is very good for age spots. There are phototherapy systems out there you can buy right now just for your hands, and those can run $500 on up. And we include this particular program in the Dreamspa for you. So I'm very, very proud of how the Dreamspa has turned out. It's like replaces 7 different types of phototherapy into one practical unit with professional quality. Here are some of the features of the Dreamspa, and you can see more of this on the website. It's super comfortable. It can be used in bed, on the floor, in reclining chairs, couches, outdoor in the lawn if you want to. And the Dreamspa is powered by safe 12-volt DC energy. Some people are very confused about electromagnetic fields. They think they're all negative. They by far are not. Anything that has an atom in it has an electromagnetic field, and that's from rocks to human beings. Just the research has shown that AC electricity is not very good for human immune systems and for humans to be around. So we have a power adapter that converts AC, alternating current electricity, to direct current, DC electricity, in 12 volts. This is the perfect electricity for the human body and for animals. The AC to DC adapter is, you could sort of call it a water filter. We're filtering all the nasty electricity coming out of the wall into clean and pure DC electricity, and the only signal in this DC electricity is a signal that we put in it that are all beneficial to the human body. Our adapters are rated for worldwide use. That means you can take them anywhere in the world and just change the plug and plug them right in the wall, and they'll work for you. We use, of course, the new generation of super LEDs. They don't overheat at all. There's no chance of them ever burning up on you. And they have a rated very long life period. The LEDs will last 10 to 15 years. So you won't be changing all those little bulbs on a regular basis. As I've said before, we use the 3 most tested wavelengths in phototherapy history. Just punch in these wavelengths, and the internet is full of information on these wavelengths. We have five proprietary programs, and we also have included in the system this new form of Brainwave entrainment technology. There's also an extra port on the system because we do plan to come out with attachments, dental and other things. We do plan to come out with attachments in the near future, and we'll let you know as soon as those come online. The Dreamspa is eco-friendly, and it's completely lead-free and meets European standards for lead-free circuit boards and things like that, and it is completely recyclable. I'd like to talk about this here right now for a second. This is, I think, one of the advantages that the Dreamspa offers over any piece of equipment in the planet right now. That is, it's an all-in-one photon therapy system. Literally, we combine 7 types of professional quality phototherapy into one system. And this is just a chart, so you can compare the charts on the website also. If you bought real phototherapy equipment from the low end to the high end, you can see you would be paying at least almost $3,000 for all of these benefits, up to almost $15,000. And I'm not talking about all the little toys and stuff that's caught on in phototherapy since it's become popular, all these little $30 units and things like that. We're talking about, professional grade phototherapy. And so I'd like to say that we also now have a company that's making travel cases for us because it's been highly highly requested. I have, it's perfectly made and fits perfectly the Dreamspa for traveling. It's totally strong enough to stand on. It's made by a company that makes cases for rock drummers, so you can literally stand on this thing. It's totally okay to check this in as luggage. I've done it on 2 trips across the United States and back, checked it in as luggage. And you ladies might be interested to know that it also has another use that my girlfriend discovered in my travels, and that is there's still plenty of room in here to pack clothes and shoes and things like that. So it's an extra luggage case also that works very well. So it's a dual purpose case. We're going to have another webinar on the this is the one I think let's go here. Okay, we're going to replay the webinar. I'll let David tell you about that in a minute. I also have, we're going to replay it on the 25th for all of you that want to see it again and tell your friends about it. Also, I'll let David talk about our special we've had, but we're going to have another, here it is. On October 20th, we're going to have another webinar that I'll present, and this is one that focuses mainly on anti-aging and super health using phototherapy, and I'll give a history of who lives to be 100 and why, and I think you'll find it very, very fascinating. So tune in for that. That'll be Thursday, October 20th. And so we're going to replay this particular webinar on Sunday, September 25th at 1 Eastern, 12 Central, and 10 a.m. Pacific time. So you can also check all this out on the website. Now I'm going to let David tell you about a real good special we have for you today. And remember that we make these in smaller batches, and they're very high quality, and typically they sell out as fast as we can make them, literally. And so it's not like we're making tens of thousands of these. So keep that in mind. We do have some specials for you, and I think I'll let David take over from here. Are you there, David?
Yes, I am, Mellen.
Okay, here we go. Oh, everybody, thank you very much. It's been great talking to you. I love to talk about phototherapy, quantum biology. I could talk all day on it, as you could probably tell. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I think we've got a great special for you.
So firstly, Mellen, thank you for that wonderful webinar. I've listened to you speak many times, and every time I learn. It's just beyond amazing, your knowledge, your enthusiasm for this, and your passion with all the inventions that you've invented. Thank you so much for sharing that with both Light Health Research and our attendees today, both on the web and on the phone. Thank you so much. For the people who are attending this webinar, we have a very special announcement. We expected the Dreamspa to be $2,000 or $3,000, as Mellen indicated. That's pretty much the low end for anything that's comparable to this, although there's nothing comparable because we have 7 different phototherapy programs in here. So we're able to offer this at a retail price of $15.99 today and for the next 4 days until Monday, September 25th. For the people on this webinar, we will be discounting it $150, so you can save that. If you go to the website and you use the discount code WEB2209. Again, this is good through Monday the 26th. You can save $150, bringing the price down to $14.49. Certainly a wonderful value. So we encourage you to reserve yours because they're on back order. We're selling them as fast as we can make them, and allow 10 weeks for delivery. The best way to order is online. You can also fax in an order, and for those who are not able to do either of those, you're welcome to call us at 847-607-8492. All of this includes our 30-day money-back guarantee and the 1-year warranty. So we encourage you to reserve yours. And again, Mellen, thank you so much for this wonderful webinar. We'll be replaying this on Sunday. It is on our website. And please register there so we know how many are attending and we can prepare appropriately. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for attending. Thank you, Mel. Bye-bye.
Hello? Everyone, and talking about one of my favorite subjects in the world. You know, since I was a child, I have been interested in the question of longevity and quality of life. I've always thought it was the most interesting question of all is, why do we age? What is that all about? I've been studying this and researching in this most of my life. I'm interested in it deeply. I still think it's one of the most interesting questions that I can work on with my time. I'd like to start out by saying that there's always been something missing in this aging picture, this longevity, anti-aging. And I've noticed in all my research and all of my travels and everywhere I've been in the world that you can have the best food, the best vitamins, the best drinking water, you can have the best exercise program, and you can have the best doctors in the world. But this still has not been quite enough. There's always been a missing link. And I've been very lucky in my adult life to be part of research programs and travel the world. And in all of my eclectic travels, one thing kept popping up, and finally the consensus came to me, and I've been working on this one particular angle for about 20 years now. And that is, what really is the missing link if you've got everything going right for you? Well, what is the primal energy that is the foundation core of all living things as we know it? What is that? And in all of my studies, it keeps coming back to the same thing. And now modern science is in agreement with this also. It's the same energy that keeps the universe alive and active. Nuclear energy. That's right, nuclear energy. The whole universe runs on nuclear energy at one level or another. We now live in a wondrous age of knowledge and discovery where the fundamental secrets of the ages are being discovered daily. It's an amazing time to be alive. It's a golden age of science. All living things on Earth live on electrical energy in the form of electrons or biophotons. This is one of the greatest developments in modern history to understand this fundamental underlying cause of life and the cause of being functional. Now, this brings in the field of quantum biology, which I've been a student of quantum biology for many, many years. And quantum biology has brought in a new aspect on energy nutrition. And this is what we call electrical nutrition. And this is brought on by the field of quantum biology. And in quantum biology, you kind of see every living system as, first and foremost, a nuclear electrical system. And human beings are like a wet cell battery. We're like batteries that have to keep a charge going. And all the food we eat and the water we drink and all that has to be at some point converted to an atomic level. Because the fundamental underlying basis of life and signal processing in the human body is light and electrons. And light is a higher state of electrons. So we're talking about the same thing again. We're electrical beings. Everything we eat, drink, or touch affects us electrically. And for human beings, it manifests itself in the electron transport chain, ATP, as we've all pretty much aware of by now, adenosine triphosphate. This molecule acts as the energy currency for the cell and provides the biological energy for cells to operate. This energy is collected in your mitochondria, which is to a quantum biologist or even to an electrician who understands biology, this acts as a battery capacitor. It is the battery in every cell of your body that keeps the individual cells able to heal themselves, do their job, and function. Without ATP and the electron transport chain, you probably wouldn't be alive for 5 minutes. No matter how much food you ate, no matter how much water you drank, if the electron transport chain and the Krebs cycle wasn't working, you would not be alive today. What I find fascinating is that human beings are one of the most evolved animals on planet Earth, but humans are lacking in some key components when it comes to this energy assimilation and energy production inside our bodies. Again, you can have the best vitamins, best doctors, and everything, and it's never been quite enough because the human body has a few design flaws, you might say, although we're not perfect, of course. One of which is that human beings, I'll give you a rundown of this, human beings
Well, our eyes are only sensitive to a very few wavelengths in the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Many animals and sea creatures can see far beyond the range of the human eyes. A hawk can see better than a human being by 80 or more times. A hawk can have telescopic vision. Dogs can smell better than human beings. And in fact, there are many animals, even a moth can pick up molecules at miles away and have a better sensory perception than we do in that respect. Even dogs and many animals on planet Earth can hear better than us. And as a design, the human stomach is rather simplistic, and it really loses a lot of energy in the process of digestion and assimilation. There are many animals on planet Earth that have much more complex stomachs and can digest almost anything that they eat. Sharks, alligators, chickens can process their food at a different level than we can. What's interesting, though, is that human beings do have the best brain on planet Earth that we know about. And we have the largest developed frontal cortex, which helps us in our organization of science and technologies. And so with this brain that we've been given, we are able to invent telescopes, microscopes. We're able to see things the hawk never would ever see. We're able to hear things the dog would never hear. And we're able to look into almost any universe, from the edge of the universe to our inner universe, even into our own bodies. So in the trade-off, I'd rather have the best brain on the planet than the best stomach on the planet. But this brings us again around to energy production. Human beings can invent electron microscopes. We can look at atoms. In fact, right here there's a picture of atoms. We can photograph atoms nowadays. What a phenomenal brain we have, and what phenomenal range this brain gives us. And with this brain, we've been able to figure out that all the universe is energy and made of energy, including our own bodies. And so the field of quantum biology looks at your body as a nuclear system. You can think of your atoms as biology. And how does this system maintain itself, replenish itself? How does this system process signal information throughout the entire system of the human body? Well, this is also a Curlian photograph here showing us that you can image energy coming off the human body and other living things with different types of imaging equipment, such as a Curlian camera and other devices. All living things that comprise a nuclear state do have these energetic fields. Human beings, you are emitting energy and glowing like a light bulb from the day you're born to literally several days after you die. You are generating light constantly. That means you're using energy constantly, 24/7. And this energy must be replenished. The current science of biophotonics is quite an exciting science to be involved in, and it covers a lot of these aspects that we're going to talk about. I'd like to remind you of Dr. Fritz Popp, one of the great researchers and one of the discoverers of Biophotons. And here you can actually see some biophoton images. We now have cameras or sensing equipment that can sense into realms we've never imagined before. We can actually photograph individual photons. We can photograph photon emissions. Biophotons is the light your body makes from all the food and water and air you breathe. Because again, at the nuclear level, your body is going to be signaling, all of its systems are being signaled through light transmissions. And this is what biophotons do. We are glowing like a light bulb 24/7 a day, always using energy, and we're like a battery that constantly needs to be recharged. Human beings, though, are not the best processors in the digestion and assimilation phase on planet Earth of all the bodies on Earth, but this means we need to be very careful about our energy management. We also need to keep our energy up, so to speak. How many people have felt like they've run out of energy and need their batteries recharged? So many people say that. So this brings us to the idea of how does light actually travel through the body and tissues. And it's fascinating. So many discoveries have been made over the last 50 years, and especially since the 1990s, that we really do have a good understanding now of how this works, this energy system called the human body works at the nuclear level. One of the more interesting discoveries made was about the time I got into phototherapy, about 30 years ago, was made by the French. And they weren't even looking into phototherapy. They were looking into acupuncture. They wanted to understand what was the physics of acupuncture. And the Chinese, although invented and developed acupuncture to a high art form, a very potent form of healing, never really understood the physics of it in the modern, as we understand things in the modern world. They couldn't explain what meridians were, really, to the Western world scientific mind. They couldn't explain what they called qi. What is qi? Well, now pretty much everybody agrees that qi is really electrons and electron transport. Now, what's interesting about acupuncture and its discovery, which led to many of the developments in modern photonics, is that when the French started using these biophotonic cameras and started actually photographing what was going on when acupuncture was being performed, they discovered that when you stick a needle in a human being or in a body, it actually kills cells. Now, I'm not putting down acupuncture in any way. I believe it's a very potent form of healing and balance. But it is a primitive form, and just to show you what I mean by that, these are electron microscope photos of some of the sharpest needles on Earth. And at this level, they don't look very sharp at all. And once you pull a needle out of a package and it's been out in the air a few seconds or even a few minutes, they're never quite 100% sterile. There's nothing, I think, that's 100% sterile in the world. But imagine at the nuclear level and the cellular level, you're pushing these pins through your cells, where there are no needles that are small enough to go between cells or flexible enough to go between every cell in your body. They just punch straight through. And they actually punch through what's called the connective layer tissue also. And when the French started imaging this with biophotonic imaging systems, they discovered that when you put a needle into a human body, it kills millions of cells. And as cells die, they release their biophoton, or they release their energy. And the energy they release is in a biophotonic state. And this tends to glow about the size of a quarter with just one needle put in you. And what's fascinating about this is that the energy just trickles up a little bit. I'll give you a little picture here. What they discovered is that what the Chinese call meridians, we now know is the fiber optic potential of the connective tissue of your body. Your entire body is held together by connective tissue. It's one of the most preeminent components of the human body. It holds everything together. Well, the discoveries made after the French were great discoveries in this field, that the connective tissue really acts like fiber optic cables. And as we know, light is electricity. Light is actually higher state electrons. Don't want to get too esoteric here, but light is also electricity. And we have our body is loaded with these fiber optic systems that go to every muscle, every tissue in our body. And so I'll give you a picture here. This is an electron microscope picture of connective tissue, and you can see some diagrams. It is one of the largest components of the human body. It works in conjunction with collagen. It holds the whole body together. And the interesting news is that it's fiber optic. It pipes light, and it pipes electricity via light through the entire body, to every organ in the entire body. And so this is an early photo of one of the studies done by the French. You can see here where when they put a needle in a meridian area and image it with a biophotonic imaging device, you can see that where they put the needle in glows, and some of the energy trickles up a little ways away from it and from the entry point. Now you can see here that a lot of energy is being released at the photonic level here in the body when the needle's stuck to it, because the cells are literally wounded and dying. The energy, if you do it in what the Chinese called an acupuncture point, they discovered that this energy would trickle up about as far as where the charts on the acupuncture chart showed another needle should be put in. And so you can see how they could literally move energy around the human body. But the ancient name for acupuncture is called the wounding art. And so you wound to heal. And there's so many of our modalities involve wounding the body to trigger the immune system, such as injections and things like that. And you see the picture on the left is a point on the body where is not marked as a meridian point or a acupuncture point. So when they put a needle in this area, they find that cells still die and they glow and they stay in kind of a blob. They don't go anywhere. Now, just as you're looking at these images, you look at the one on the right, just as with a light bulb, an incandescent light bulb, when you turn it on, about 90% of the energy of that light is expended in heat and wasted. Only about 10% is giving you photons, as we know we call light. The same thing with acupuncture, although acupuncture is a very potent form of healing. But you can see it's a crude form of healing, although very effective in many cases. What's interesting is that light is electricity. And electricity is light. They're all in the same package today, and this was proven by a gentleman named Albert Einstein when he discovered the photoelectric effect and got the Nobel Prize for it. So what was triggered then is a very interesting development, and I was in the early stages of this some 30 years ago myself, in which many of us had the idea, well, if this is the way acupuncture really works, it's really releasing biophotons in the body, and if you do them in the acupuncture areas, they will trickle up meridians to the next juncture point. Well then, what if we added the proper light to this meridian point and put photons in instead of killing cells? Would it work? And yes, it did work, and it's become what we now call photoacupuncture. And as you can see here from a page in an instruction manual, when you put light to human skin, there are 4 effects that happen from the light. You get a thermal effect, you get a biochemical effect, which increases ATP production, RNA, DNA synthesis, enzyme production, just by putting the light to the body. You also get a bioelectric, the photoelectric effect happens, and you also get a bioenergetic effect. So you get a big bang for your buck, and you don't have to stick needles and wound people. And there are a lot of people that can't do acupuncture just because of that point alone. Now, traditional acupuncture, again, is just fine. Don't want to upset anybody, but this gave us many of us these ideas years and years ago to develop different systems, which I developed a photoacupuncture system years ago called AcuLight, and I'll show you some more modern systems. This is photoacupuncture, where they put these diodes right on the meridian points and are getting great results just as if you would put in needles. You can also do it with these small handheld lasers if you want to go point by point. This is actually bioactive. Now, when I was studying all this way back when, I was also looking at different aspects of general phototherapy, and the French weren't ever thinking about phototherapy in the early days of this. I got the idea that, boy, if we could send light down the connective tissue and pipe light into the whole body, then we could probably turn on all the meridians at the same time, and we could also enhance the body in many, many ways. And so I've invented a lot of systems over the years. This is a system I invented for one company when we were experimenting with full body phototherapy. And you notice that I designed this to work on the feet, the hands, and the face, which are the high meridian areas and also high capillary areas, because the capillaries also collect the light and it's collected in the system and brought to all the organs in the body. And we got great results with that. My research has gone a lot further since then, and all these other kinds of devices from the past. And in fact, my research brought me to the point of understanding all of this and putting it all together, in that we could literally get to all the meridians, we could literally get to the entire body and every tissue in the body by just putting light on the face, the proper kind of bioactive light, and timing it just right. And so that brings me to this invention, the Dreamspa. And the Dreamspa, for me, is a dream I've been trying to get out for years. I've developed many technologies for other companies over the years. And with my research advancing the way it did and realizing that we didn't need big giant equipment anymore to get a systemic effect on the human body, I tried to get other companies to come out with these serious professional quality units for the home, and eventually found the Light Health Research Company in Chicago, who got the same idea, and we worked on this project together. I'm very happy, very proud that this project is out, because the best use of phototherapy, if you understand it, is to use it daily and even more than once a day. And if you're like me, a regular person, how many times a week can you afford to go to a spa or a med clinic to get your phototherapy sessions? So I'm very happy to be a part of this project. Now I'd like to explain what the Dreamspa does. Why is Dreamspa so important to the quality of your life? Well, I designed this for a number of reasons. The technology is fine, the science is fine, but one of the compelling reasons that I designed this equipment and people need this in their life, and that is, there are 4 reasons. Number 1 is profound stress relief. Stress is the number 1 problem in the world today. We get stress from every level, from our technologies, from our children, from our bosses, from everything. It's a high-stress world, higher stress than it's ever been, and the stress stimulators are not going to go away. We just have to get better at dealing with it, insulating ourselves, and repairing ourselves from stress. Because stress affects cognitive functioning, it affects health, it affects weight loss, it affects so many things. So that's number 1. Number 2 is energy, energy, energy. To go to a higher state of life, we need a higher state of energy. And especially to people out there that believe in metaphysics and all that, if you want to get to a higher state of consciousness, you can't go there, you can't go any further on fossil fuels. It's just like the Earth can't go that much farther on fossil fuels. We've got to go to a higher, cleaner kind of energy. And this is the effect that phototherapy has for you, because, again, remember, the human body is like a battery that needs to be charged on a regular basis. In fact, I was one of the first people to originate the idea of photocharging the human body like a battery and prove it. And I believe that I will be known for this in my life. In fact, I believe that photocharging the human body daily like a battery will be as commonplace as taking a shower. And I believe this will be in my lifetime. And once you understand it, you'll see why this is a very important thing to do, is to keep your battery and keep your energy up, and so that you keep regenerating a little bit faster than you're degenerating. That's true anti-aging. Now, the third thing, of course, is sleep. Nobody's sleeping. So I wanted to put in a very special component to this device that helps you take power naps and powerfully deep naps anytime that you want to. And number 4 would be cosmetic. Everyone wants to look better. Everybody's into anti-aging, and why not? To me, the cosmetic parts of phototherapy are only the side effect of regenerating your body in an optimal condition every day. So let's take a look at this. Did you know that studies show that just driving to work every day is enough to raise your stress level and your cortisol level to keep you stressed out for most of the day? Once the cortisol gets set off, it takes a long time for it to come back down. And then about the time that this cortisol and the stress is coming down, it's time to get back in the car and face the traffic again. Now, it might be nice if we lived on some paradise island somewhere and drank coconut juice all day and watch the waves. But most of us don't live that way. Most of us live in urban situations, and these are the kind of issues we have to deal with every day. So imagine that, so this is why people also aren't sleeping, because we have stresses that set off our stress in the morning, we get stressed in the afternoon, and this keeps our cortisol and other stress hormones at a high rate. And this is why there's an epidemic of sleepless nights in the world today, in the modern world as we know it. Almost everybody is experiencing this. So I wanted to invent a device that would help you sleep anytime you wanted to get these power naps, because we know napping can be quite regenerative and can be quite anti-aging. So How many people have had these days at work? You're stressed out, you're fatigued, you're brain fog. And did you know that research shows that almost all of us now in the modern world are suffering from a form of seasonal affective disorder that is no longer dependent on season? We also, that is in connection with a form of jet lag, and you don't even have to travel to get this jet lag brain fog. It's mainly because, as a metaphor, we tend to live in caves and work in caves, and the caves that we live in don't even have the proper light that are a nutrient to us. In fact, most lighting in the modern world is an irritant to the human immune system. And so it's not unusual that people would have these days of work. Enlightened companies around the world now are providing nap rooms and providing nap time and nap passes to their employees. And this is starting to spread because they're realizing the importance of having rested, clear-thinking, productive employees. But what we want to do with the Dreamspa is provide you with not only full phototherapy, but also with a wonderful restful nap that provides profound stress relief. For those of you that have not tried the Dreamspa, you will feel this right after the first session. And we also want to help with sleep enhancement, and we certainly want to recharge your battery with energy renewal. And we put all this into the same system. The Dreamspa solution. The Dreamspa is the first all-in-one professional-grade photon energy system that combines photorejuvenation, enhanced energy recharging, profound stress relief, and what we call brainwave entrainment. Now, many of you have heard about the very good science and decades-old science of brainwave entrainment. Most of us know that our brain operates differently at different brainwave levels, and this is very important to understand because this is why people try to meditate, this is why people try to rest, is to let their brain rest. And also, at these other brainwaves, we actually are more creative and more productive. Now, I'd like to point out, and I'm going to spend a couple of minutes here just on the brainwave part of what the Dreamspa does and kind of explain things from the way that we see it. Most of us, when your eyes are open, when you're thinking, when you're talking, when you're reading instruction manuals, when you're studying, when you're taking care of the kids, homemakers, we stay in beta brainwaves so much that I've coined a term called beta-toids. Us modern humans spend too much time in beta brainwaves, and beta brainwaves are these stress brainwaves. If your eyes are open, if you're talking, you're probably driving or doing something, and all that involves all kinds of stress that you wouldn't be getting if your eyes were closed and you were at a meditative state. It affects students, office workers, caretakers, everyone. We're spending way too much time in beta brainwaves. And with all the new technologies coming out, from sleeping with our Blackberries to tweeting into the middle of the night, and all of this beta activity is having a serious effect on individual quality of life and our ability to be productive beings in our own lives. We have 5 innovative photon energy programs in the Dreamspa, and the three main programs feature what we call brainwave entrainment. And this is based on the solid and tried and true science of brainwave entrainment, except we add another layer to it that we've pioneered. And that is, we also combine with brainwave entrainment a trance program, and so that's why we call it brainwave entrainment. And this delivers a profound stress relief to you, and it will enhance your sleeping. In fact, most people do fall asleep while using the Dreamspa. And this is something we encourage, actually. Now, I want to explain how this works for a minute here. So, typically, we spend way too much time in beta stress brainwaves. And so, the Dreamspa is a auto shut-off 30-minute program. Each program is 30 minutes, and it turns itself off. Now, in the 3 main programs, which I'll explain in more detail in a minute, you get the full brainwave entrainment that we have developed. So in the first 10 minutes of a Dreamspa program, we want to entrance your brainwaves to 10 cycles alpha. which is where meditators like to go, artists like to be in this realm, and it gives you a sense of deep relaxation, and you begin to feel an overall sense of calming in the body. In the next 10 minutes of the session, we like to bring you into what we call magic land, theta land. And theta brainwaves have been so well studied. We try to entrance you next into 8 cycles theta. And at 8 cycles theta, your brainwaves really start to get a mental clarity. Your brain starts to begin to deeply rest. You know, we work our brains too much, whether we know it or not, or whether you think you do or not. We work our brains constantly, and with the brain, it's third part of the last 10 minutes of the Dreamspa program. We bring you to the magic theta 5 cycles. At theta 5 cycles, research has shown that the brain will significantly repair and refresh itself physiologically, not just psychologically, reducing brain fog and retraining the brain to sleep deeply again. Your brain needs to get to these levels, and also research has shown that the deepest healing of the human body happens when you're asleep, not during surgery, not after surgery if you're awake, but while you're sleeping. And so there's a deep healing component of being able to sleep or nap deeply that we're almost lost track of in this modern world. The next thing that we like to do with the Dreamspa is the energy recharge. This is how we recharge the battery of your body. Albert Einstein discovered the photoelectric effect, and just as plants take light and turn it into energy, human beings, as all other living things, take light and convert it into energy that we can live off of. And so just as plants, human beings convert sunlight to energy. The problem with sunlight is, though, that most of sunlight is rude and crude energy and not good for you at all. In the modern world, in the modern science of phototherapy, science has learned how to isolate the 4 main active, bioactive wavelengths and isolate them so that that's all you're getting. It's like purified light, not rude and crude light, sort of like the difference between tap water and clean water. This is done because light, when light is applied to living things, and in human beings it manifests in ATP production or electron transport. Light creates this energy. Light is basically higher state electrons. So light is a component of electricity. And your body absorbs this energy if it's in the right wavelengths and at the right dose. The mitochondrion, that is this component of every cell in your body, is a battery, and it's a battery charger. And every cell in your body needs to have the battery charged to the optimum level. And as I showed you in the beginning of this talk, is that the human body, of all the bodies on Earth, is not that great of a digestion assimilation system. That's because I guess nature knew that we would figure this out on our own at some point, which we have. The interesting thing is that in some studies, upwards of 80% of the food you put in your body is dismantled by the body, and the body takes what it needs as it needs it and then throws out all the rest. So the human assimilation and elimination process is not the best on the planet. And that's why many people that are obese have been studied, and they're actually starving to death because they're not assimilating or eliminating. So this has been an interesting missing piece in the whole health program. So I'll show you here. This is, again, Kirlian electrophotography, which is basically a way to image electron emission. And this is somebody's 3 fingerprints. In the upper picture you see that before a Dreamspa photon therapy session, this person is a normal person, this person isn't sick, but they have gaps in their electron emission and they have spikes, and this person is really low in energy. And frankly, so many people's Kirlians look this way, because typically in this world and living in beta brainwaves all the time, we expend so much energy in stress. It's like that light bulb I told you that spends 90% of its light in heat and 10% in making light. we do that with our lives, by the lifestyles that we live and by the technologies that entrap us into staying in beta brainwaves and entrap us to actually hold into our heads and being surrounded by these electromagnetic fields all the time. So if you look at the bottom picture, this is 30 minutes. This is right after a 30-minute session in the Dreamspa, and you can see this is just one way we can prove that we've donated electrons to the human body, we've recharged your body. And this fluffy curling is the way a really healthy person should look, and this is the way you should look and feel all the time. I'd like to explain our programs now for you. Our first program is called Renew, and what we pioneered is in doing some very interesting proprietary mixes of wavelengths. And the Renew program is based on the most studied wavelength of bioactive red light and the most studied wavelength of near-infrared. And the near-infrared, your eyes can't see that the lights are actually on, but they are. And we mix them in a very interesting way. So these are the two most powerful healing wavelengths ever studied in phototherapy. And this is great for anti-aging, cosmetics. This is great for immune system boosting. This is great for energy production in your body. Creates quite a bit of energy. Your body just soaks up this energy through the phase. And I've done many demos to your feet. And so this is a very good program for anti-aging and recharging your battery. You can see it's also very good for cosmetics, because one of the side effects of good phototherapy is collagen production. To me, that's always been a side effect, but the baby boomers, it may be number one on their list. But you can see here with a 70-year-old lady, there's been significant increase in collagen. Here, in this photo, you see what the enhancing collagen production can do, which is really a side effect of all proper wavelengths of light, but if applied properly, it can really enhance it. You can see the lady looks like she's almost had an eye lift on the right afterwards. This is just collagen production, a side effect of phototherapy. But we give you really one of the best photofacials in the industry as just a byproduct of our regenerating your body and enhancing your body. Our second program is Blue Calm. And this particular wavelength of blue right now is one of the most studied wavelengths of light being studied in phototherapy research and clinicals. The Europeans were onto this, a couple decades ago. It took a while to cross the ocean to get to America, but it has become a favorite wavelength. It has some very interesting properties. The blue wavelength has been used in Europe for antidepressant, to help with addictions, jet lag, hangovers, moodiness, depression, and also it's become a favorite wavelength among estheticians because it's very, very good for the skin. The blue light helps with oily, bacterial skin, acne, rosaceas, and things like that. Favorite wavelength amongst estheticians. And again, any light wave in these bioactive wavelengths will produce ATP production in your body. It's a byproduct, and it's a very good way to charge the body. Many of our users have said the Blue Calm program makes them feel like they've had an afternoon on the beach. They feel calmer, more centered, and have a mental clarity. Very popular program amongst our users. Our third main program is what we call Body Relief. And this is a very interesting proprietary blend of blue, red, and near-infrared wavelengths. And with this, we can get very different effects. This program and this mix of wavelengths is very, very good for any kind of systemic body pain, over-exercising, arthritis, and those kind of conditions. And it's the baby boomers and their exercising that are really keeping the sports medicine clinics together, and the sports doctors together, because the baby boomers as a group have way more sports injuries, sports-related injuries from golf and tennis and jogging and all that than all the sports teams put together. And so if you're someone who likes to play and you want to regenerate after exercising, regenerate after a golf game, regenerate after sports. This is a very, very good program for you. And now we move on to the program number 4, and this is, we call it Hair and Scalp Rescue. There are phototherapy units on the market at med spas and in spas that cost anywhere from $20, $30, all the way up to $100,000 that just treat your hair. Hair is very important to many baby boomers. Interestingly enough, about 80% of the market in hair loss products is to women. Women lose hair, but they tend to grow it back, whereas men want to stop hair fallout and keep the hair that they have. But so it's very good for hair and scalp. Your hair will grow faster. We've had many testimonials on that. I've experienced it myself. But also, there are lots of research. We have some links to it on our website, the Life Health Research website, where these particular wavelengths on the head is also affecting the head meridians, very important meridians. And there's a tremendous amount of research right now, both in America and in Europe, and we have some links to that again, that show the benefits of having light on these particular wavelengths on the head meridians. Very, very interesting research on that. So, I decided to have a reclined position in this because I want to keep my hair, and I know hair is very important. But also, if you really study what the head meridians control in your body, this is also a very good health program also. The 5th program is hair, nails, and age spots. And on the market, and you can buy phototherapy devices that are just made just for the hands, and they can cost anywhere from $300 to $500 and up. And women mostly are concerned with their nails and their hands and age spots. It's very, very good for that. In fact, most people experience faster nail growth. And also, if you have any kind of like arthritis, pain in the hands, and all that, that is a very, very good program for that. And this is just a part of what we add to the system. What we've done really with the Dreamspa is put 7 professional-grade phototherapy systems into one system for the first time. And next, I would like to say I'm just very proud of the way this has come out. It's a very robust design. It has the 2 positions that cover everything. And this is, again, 7 pieces of phototherapy equipment in one. I'd like to talk a little bit now about the Dreamspa features. First of all, it's really easy to use and automatic. You turn it on, it shuts itself off. It's super comfortable in bed, on reclining chairs, on couches, on the floor, or you can even use it on the porch and in the yard if you want to. It is powered by safe 12-volt DC energy, which is electromagnetically clean for the human body. 12-volt DC energy, I think in all my research, is the perfect energy to power systems for applications to the human body. You know, AC electricity is pretty nasty energy and is an irritant to the immune system, so we don't use that. Every system comes with a power adapter that converts the AC electricity that comes from your wall into clean and safe DC electricity to use on your body. It's sort of like a water filter. We take your dirty electricity and we clean it up and make it clean and pure. DC electricity has no frequencies in it except those that we add ourselves to your benefit. AC electricity, as we know, has all kinds of stuff in it. So it's very, very safe and very, very clean for you to use. The Dreamspa is built to last, very robust system. And we use the new super LEDs for and they have a long life. The LEDs will last at least 10 to 15 years. So you'll probably want a different system by then. But you can keep the system will be active and be benefiting your life for many, many years to come. And again, we use only the 3 most tested, tried and true bioactive wavelengths in phototherapy history. Nature invented that, no one can patent that. The system is actually not very big, so it's very comfortable and you can carry it around with you. We have 5 proprietary programs. Also, we include in the first 3 of them our proprietary Brainwave entrainment technology. Now, what's good about this is we have a button on the, and I'll go back for a second, We have a button on the control system that says trance on or off. Now, there are a lot of good trance tapes out there. There are a lot of good tapes from Monroe Institute, HemiSync, and all that stuff. And if you want to use those, fine, just turn ours off and use any of the other ones you want. In fact, I really enjoy direct induction hypnotic tapes when I'm getting sessions. That's where a hypnotist really hypnotizes you. I really enjoy that. And so you can use our system, you can use any other systems you might like, you can alternate in using them, but I suggest you only use one brainwave system at a time. Let's go back. Okay. And then we have an extra port on the Dreamspa because we are planning on coming out next year with attachments, some very, very interesting health benefiting attachments to the Dreamspa. So all you have to do is just plug it into your Dreamspa and it's ready to go. And then lastly but not least, the Dreamspa is eco-friendly. It's completely lead-free, meets European standards, and is totally recyclable. So with all that, I think we have a great system here. And then I'd like to show you what I mean by an all-in-one system here, just a quick little slide. Dreamspa combines 7 types of real professional quality phototherapy. Now, we're not giving you that $30 stuff you've seen on television or those little winking lights you see and little ads and stuff. This is real phototherapy. And so you can see on this chart from the low end of phototherapy equipment, real phototherapy equipment, to the high end, you can see what you'd be paying if you had to buy all this together and try to use all this technology. And so we're trying to make this affordable to everyone, and I believe we've accomplished that, and I really am quite proud of how we're able to put all these different types of phototherapy together into one system. And now, I think I'll let David take over and tell you about our upcoming webinars and specials that we have.
So thank you, Mellen, and I want to deeply thank you for all your work, not only in this wonderful webinar, but bringing this technology onto the planet and getting it out there, and helping people understand it is such a key as well. So thank you for all.
I really enjoy sharing the science with everyone, and I really appreciate everybody out there that's supported us and helping us get this technology to the public. So thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You can see the 25 years of research that you've gone and put into this. So thank you so much. So I have a couple announcements here. Firstly, there will be a replay of this webinar on the web only. There won't be any audio. There won't be a phone number to call into. But there will be a web replay. So if you'd like to invite your friends and listen to it again, you're more than welcome. This will be happening on this Sunday, October 23rd, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific. And the way you get there is the same way that you got there today. You would go to lighthealthresearch.com, click on the events, and there'll be a button that will be active at that time. So you're more than welcome to join us and bring some friends. In addition to that, we have a webinar special that we're currently offering through Monday, and it will be through Monday midnight, October 24th, in which if you order the Dreamspa, you'll have a $149 value added, which is the heavy-duty carrying case. And Mellen has tested this. He's shipped it on the airlines from coast to coast as he's traveling, and it's protected the Dreamspa very well. It's so strong you can actually stand on it, and it's normally $149. We're including that free with every Dreamspa purchase through Monday. Of course, this comes with a 1-year warranty and a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you'd like to purchase a 2nd-year warranty, it is available, but the Dreamspa comes already with a 1-year warranty as well as the 30-day money-back guarantee. And it is 6 to 8 weeks for delivery is what it's looking at this point, so there is a little bit of wait. You want to reserve yours now because we're selling them as fast as we can make them. So please do reserve that. And one more announcement. Our next webinar, Light Health Research, has again engaged Mellen to do a question-answer webinar. So this will be questions that will be submitted through email on the website. There's many ways to submit them. You can go to our website. You'll see a place to submit them. You can email us directly at cs.lighthealthresearch.com. And the questions that we're interested in, of course, are your questions on the Dreamspa, photon or phototherapy, light therapy, stress reduction, sleep enhancement, energy enhancement, as well as skin, hair, and hand renewal. And of course, the brainwave entrainment used in the Dreamspa. And anything else that sounds interesting. We cannot answer any kinds of medical questions. We're not physicians. We're not licensed to do so. But the questions about the Dreamspa, light therapy, photon energy, and the various benefits are the things that we'll be looking forward to hearing your questions. So please put those. And I want to thank everybody for attending. We look forward to connecting with you on our next webinar. And of course, we're always interested in your comments and if you like your testimonials. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.
The moderator has